Congressman Dan Crenshaw, a Republican, is of course very supportive of Governor Greg Abbott's political stunt where he says that he will have migrants volunteer to get loaded onto buses so they go to DC. Now, Crenshaw though has a suggestion that involves Kamala Harris. Let's take a look at that.
Governor Abbott has a good idea. He's going to take a bunch of charter buses and send them to DC. I like the sound of that. Now he says he's going to send them to the US Capitol. I would kindly ask the governor to also consider sending them to Kamala Harris's house. The vice president's house is in the Naval Observatory. Perhaps send them there because look, Kamala Harris has forgotten she's the border czar. So maybe if you put some busloads of illegal immigrants right in her backyard, I mean, there is a wall there, so they're going to have to figure that out. But put them there so she can finally start paying attention to this crisis at our border.
I didn't notice until now.
Yeah.
There's one host, I'm not familiar with him, but the look on his face as Dan Crenshaw speaking is amazing.
No, it's hilarious. Yeah, I noticed that too. It's the black guy on the left. Look at his face.
Look at his face,
okay.
Like, what are you saying?
He's like, what?
I know, you've got Kilmeade and Ainsley like, yep, business as usual, everything's normal.
And the new dude's like, what did I just step into?
It's amazing, okay. But no, the reason why I wanted to show that video was actually not to go after Crenshaw, because Crenshaw is doing what Crenshaw is supposed to do. This is who he is, this is his brand, right? He's puffing up his chest and making it appear as though Kamala Harris has been super easy on the immigration issue, right? But I also want to remind you, Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party overall has gone to great lengths to appease Republicans, to make them happy by showing that they're also tough on immigrants, right? In fact, if you don't remember, Kamala Harris gave a speech in front of Guatemalans during her trip to Guatemala, and here's what she had to say to those who might come to the border to seek asylum. Let's watch.
I want to be clear to folks in this region who are thinking about making that dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border. Do not come. Do not come. The United States will continue to enforce our laws and secure our border.
Let me also just note that the United States orchestrated a coup in Guatemala and destabilized the country. So we kind of have a little bit of a responsibility to hear these asylum seekers out. But nonetheless, I bring this all up to make the point that Democrats will go against what their own voters want. They will turn their backs on their own voters to try to appease the very Republicans who will ignore their efforts at appeasing them, who will still go on Fox News Channel and make it seem as though the Democrats have an open border policy. Stop trying to appease people who have an interest, whose entire political careers depend on making you out to be the bad guy. They're not gonna like you, they're not gonna accept you. What do you do? It's like log cabin Republicans trying to garner support from the Republican Party. They don't like you. They think that you're demons, okay? Same with Democrats trying to appease the Republican Party. What are you guys doing? Get it together.
They'll never get it together. They're never gonna learn. The establishment Democrats, they have to be defeated. They're never gonna have a come to Jesus moment. They're never gonna go, all right, being Republican light's a bad idea. Never. To the end of time, Kamala Harris, Biden, et cetera, are gonna think, man, if we're just a little bit more like Republicans, the American voters will love us, okay? They're useless, we have to defeat them in primaries. Okay, so now, but I got criticism for both here, Kamala Harris and for
Dan Crenshaw.
Dan Crenshaw, yeah, I almost said something bad. Okay, so anyway, first, Kamala Harris, repeating things for dramatic effect is super annoying. It's super annoying. You see what I just did there? Don't come. Pause, pause, pause. Don't come. I'm so tired of her. Okay, and of course, to Anna's main point, you thought you were gonna be a tough guy and get right-wing voters by yelling at Guatemalans. Did you get any? Did you get any right-wing voters? Does the polling indicate that? Does it look like they like you now? No, they want to now drop everybody off in your backyard. It's stunning to me that they never learn. It's stunning. I mean, it's embarrassing. Unless you're watching or mainstream media or listening to NPR, where they'll tell you she's nailing it, doing a great job. Just be a little bit more Republican. Okay, now on Crenshaw. Look, this whole target them personally is dangerous. So I told you in an earlier segment on today's show just now, hey, Abbott wants to do this goofy PR trick where he gets undocumented immigrants and then puts them on a bus voluntarily and pays for it, or puts them on a plane, pays for it, brings them to DC. I don't mind at all, okay? But if you say, hey, let's put them on somebody's front step, no, that's not how America works. And it is, as usual, an implicit threat of violence. And then look, you can't dox the vice president. People can look up where the vice president lives, right? We knew where Cheney lived, and they all live in the same place, right? Now, having said that, in this moment in history, there are crazed right-wing terrorists running around looking to hurt people on the other side. And he just tells all of them, remember everybody where she lives. I'm gonna repeat it on Fox News for you all. Remember, she's the enemy. And I'll also, by the way, mispronounce her name to make her sound more foreign, and then tell you where she lives, wink, wink. Okay, all right.
Look, I hear you. And like, they have no standards, right? So on one hand, they'll all simultaneously whine and cry about Tucker Carlson being approached quietly, so someone could just tell him that he's a terrible person, because he is. But then they'll go ahead and direct all sorts of rabid right-wing domestic terrorists toward politicians they don't like. They also love to whine and cry when activists or protesters approach them directly as they're enjoying a meal to call them out on policies or issues that they don't like. It's just, it's amazing because they love to make themselves out to be victims of left-wing mobs. At the same time, they love directing people who are part of militias, who brag about their weaponry and arsenal of weaponry toward politicians they don't like. They do it all the time. The thing that makes me a little calmer about this situation is we're talking about the vice president. I mean, obviously she's got a lot more protection than the average bear, right?
Well, that's true too, but I mean, but still, he's directing them towards her and saying, go to her house. And then the minute anything is said about them, they cry forever. Look, let's keep it real. Someone I'm related to said something mean about Dan Crenshaw, and Dan Crenshaw cried for days and days and milked it on Fox. Oh, I'm the victim. I'm the victim. Somebody said something mean about me.
A Twitch streamer said something mean about me. Oh my God.
Okay, then. All of a sudden, he's like, oh, why don't we send dangerous people to Kamala Harris's house? Because remember, not only is he directing right-wingers, in their minds, they think undocumented immigrants are dangerous. That's why he's saying put them in Kamala Harris's house, right? So that's not true, but what is true is right-wing terrorists are dangerous, and he's directing them towards them. And then, of course, if you say anything about him, I'm such a victim, I'm Dan Crenshaw. Get. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.